Hi, I'm Charles with AniCap. This is part 2 of my recap for the anime The Greatest Demon Lord is Reborn as a Typical Nobody. In part 1, we saw that the Demon Lord reincarnated himself to a boy named Ard. He would then go on to rescue a girl named Irina, becoming friends. Years later, the two joined a magic academy where they would meet the next person to join their group, named Ginny. The trio would go on a date and encounter a secret organization with bad intentions. Ard would handle the situation and the group would be praised by the queen. However, the secret organization continues to conspire in the shadows. The story continues as we see Ard having to turn down yet another girl, as Irina watches nearby, growing more and more jealous. Elsewhere, Professor Jessica discusses with the headmaster how Ard will not be participating in the school's battle event. The headmaster reveals that his true intentions were for Ard to teach at the academy, but could not convince the other instructors. He had hoped a strong display from Ard at the event would have been able to convince them. Jessica says that she will take care of it for him. Later, Ard thinks to himself how human relationships are difficult, and tries to think of ways to stop Irina from getting upset. Ginny enters the room and says she doesn't get jealous, but she would like to be the first to have a special moment with Ard. She wants to be more aggressive and uses her succubus powers to charm Ard, not allowing him to move his own body. Just then, Irina comes barging in and is more upset than ever. She explains to Ginny that she had come to apologize to Ard. Ginny wonders why she needed to be dressed that way to apologize, and she says that Ard's mother taught her how to get her way, much to Ard's dismay. Ginny teases her about her childish antics, and Irina defends herself, blaming Ginny for making her jealous of all the attention Ard gets. Ginny continues her teasing, saying that Irina is not ladylike at all, which prompts her to challenge Ginny to a duel. They make escalating bets for the duel and Ard stops them. He warns that they should not risk injury over something so minor, forbidding them to duel and telling them to apologize. They do so, but before they can shake on it, they are interrupted by Jessica, who had been listening all along. She says if they aren't going to duel, then they should join the battle event to settle their fight. She goes on to say that their participation will help their plans to make Ard an instructor, and Ard can't believe what he just heard. The girls are confused, and Jessica explains that if two people that Ard has trained do well, then that would prove Ard's ability to lead. The girls don't like the idea, and Irina explains that Ard taught them that power is not meant to be flaunted. Ard is proud to hear this when Jessica then reveals that instructors get to wear really cool uniforms that the girls would love to see Ard in. The girls instantly change their minds and decide to join the event. At the battle event, we see that both Ard and Irina's parents are commentators. However, Ard's mother seems to be a bit confused as she is only commenting on the ladies' bodies, much to Ard's embarrassment. He thinks to himself how he doesn't want to be an instructor and prays that they lose. However, he can only watch as Irina wins her first match. In the tunnel, Irina and Ginny wish each other luck, hoping to see one another in the finals. Ard's prayers are not answered as the two make their way up the bracket, and it is announced that they will be opponents in the final match. Olahide observes his daughter's strength, remarking how Ard had been teaching her since they were young. Before the fight can begin, several of the robed men from the secret organization begin to transform into monsters. Jessica tells everyone to form into individual groups and split up to combat the demons. Irina and Ginny show exceptional teamwork as they handle the monsters with ease, but are surprised by a much larger opponent that seems to be resistant to their magic. Olahide appears to rescue his daughter and her friend. Ginny is amazed at his heroics, and Irina proudly proclaims that he is her papa. However, her pride turns to horror as she witnesses an attack at the hands of Jessica. She reveals that her true identity is Elzard, the frenzy king of dragons, and that everything to this point has all been to capture Irina. She warns that she must come peacefully or she will harm her and her friends. Irina tries to put up a fight but doesn't stand a chance. She agrees to be taken but threatens that if Ginny is harmed, she will bite her tongue and take her own life. Elzard spares Ginny's life and takes Irina away. Later, Ard explains to a recovering Olahide how Irina had been kidnapped by Elzard. The headmaster recalls the name, remembering how that person almost destroyed the world several years ago, and is on par with evil gods. Ard says that none of that matters and all they should think about is rescuing Irina. Olahide takes him to the royal treasury, allowing him to use as much as he pleases. Ard's father then asks Olahide if he will ever reveal Irina's secret to Ard. He says no, explaining that he could not bring himself to rob his daughter of her only friend. Elsewhere, Irina has a dream about telling Ard her secret and not being able to. She wakes to Elzard revealing her plan to have a monster with the flesh of an evil god consume her precious blood. This ritual will allow her to summon an actual evil god from the dimension they are sealed in. When questioned, Elzard reveals that her only purpose is to destroy this world that has gone soft from love, bonding, and friendship. Irina is confident that Ard will come, but Elzard says that even though he is exceptionally strong, he is still human, explaining that even he would turn on Irina if he were to find out her secret, even going as far as to say he would despise her as a monster. Elsewhere, Ard has prepared himself for battle and is met by Ginny, who he must tell to stay as it will be too dangerous for her. She explains that even though she was taught to be strong by him, she resigned to the fact that she could not make friends. That is until Irina stood up for her and called her a friend. Ard says that she should stay to prepare for Irina's return, as they both will be coming back expecting to see their friend. Just as it seems like Irina is about to be consumed, Ard arrives in heroic fashion, destroying the large monster and everyone in his path. He apologizes to Irina for his late arrival, as Elzard can barely hold back her excitement. Elzard calls Irina a monster who is not pure and had to resort to using a fake name. She goes on to reveal Irina's true last name, Lavil, someone of true royalty since she carries the blood of the evil gods. Elsewhere, Olahai discusses how this world's religion is centered around the Demon Lord, which means that the evil gods are widely hated. Since he and Irina carry their blood, they must hide their identities, and he rules through a proxy to avoid sending the nation into chaos. Ard doesn't know they are this country's true royalty and must never find out, as Olahai doesn't want Irina to lose her only friend. Elzard laughs maniacally after revealing Irina's most horrible secret. However, Ard says that none of that matters. He would not even care if she was an evil god herself, because he knows her to be kinder and more courageous than anyone. However, he's upset that Elzard called his friend a monster and will never forgive that. Ard goes on to overpower her, saying that her absolute power has resulted in a lack of experience with hard-fought battles. He vanquishes her into the sky, but the fight is not over, as she transforms into her true form. Ard then begins to cast a powerful spell by telling the story of a lonely king. This allows him to summon his cherished Lydia. He requests they dance for the first time in a long while, and she becomes his sword. Elzard resorts to mind games, proclaiming that he is as powerful as a monster, and that they are all similar. She attempts to convince him that Irina will grow to fear and eventually betray him. She tells him to prepare to die in isolation, but Irina calls out to him, and he is reminded that he is no longer alone. He enters his second form and analyzes Elzard to find her true feelings. The reason she hates the world is because she had been forced into solitude. Even so, Ard won't forgive how she treated his friend. They both unleash their most powerful final attacks. Once again, Ard proves victorious, and he recalls Lydia back into his soul. He makes his way back to Irina and asks if she would be okay with them continuing to be friends. She watches in admiration of Ard and vows to become stronger than anyone so she can stand beside him. Later in a dungeon, we see a girl finish up her training, saying that she is finally strong enough to help her big sister, Lydia. She gets a whiff of her rancid stench and acknowledges that training for 3 straight years down in a dungeon will have that effect. When she gets to the surface, she is surprised to see that everything has changed so much in just 3 years. A mysterious man calls out her name, which is Sylphy. He tells her that it has actually been 3,000 years, explaining that it was no ordinary dungeon she was in. She questions why he speaks to her in such a familiar way, and he says that he served Varvatos alongside her sister Lydia. She wants to know his whereabouts, and the mysterious man reveals that he died and was reincarnated. She then asks about her big sis, but he only tells her that if she wants to know Lydia's past and current condition, she must ask the reincarnation. He reveals that the man that abandoned his past and his duties as Demon Lord to enjoy a tranquil life now goes under the name Ard Meteor. Back at the academy, the headmaster requests that Ard and his friends attend an upcoming school festival for their 100th anniversary, where the main attractions will be a play and the Sword King Battle Tournament. The girls are excited, but the headmaster reveals one concern: a threatening message from someone named Lars Al Ghul. The headmaster would like Ard to participate in the play while patrolling the entire school. The girls offer to help Ard, but that still won't be enough help, so Olivia has been tasked with recruiting more. The trio are in class discussing the plans for the play when Sylphy barges in search of the person named Ard Meteor, as she would like to beat him to a pulp. Olivia says she hasn't matured at all, and Ard nods his head. This gives him away in the eyes of Sylphy, and she tells him she knows he is a reincarnation of Varvatos. She demands information about Lydia, but Ard pretends to not know anything about what she says. Sylphy antagonizes him by telling him how pathetic what he has done is. Irina defends Ard and requests a duel if she is so insistent on being a problem. Sylphy sees similarities to her sister in Irina and commands her to be her friend. She declines and Sylphy turns her attention back to Ard, mocking his tendency to have tummy aches in tense moments. He struggles to resist arguing with her, and Olivia is skeptical as to why he won't fight her the way he fought Araldo. Ard accepts the duel, just then realizing that Olivia is using her to see if he is the Demon Lord or not. He determines that losing intentionally is the only way out. The girls talk trash from the sideline as the duel begins. Ard worries that the fighting is too high level and just bringing more unwanted attention to himself. Sylphy's taunts grow increasingly more difficult for Ard to ignore. Ard's plan to give her a small tap is ruined when Sylphy anticipates it and begins her counterattack. However, Ard reacts quickly, striking her and ending the fight. He is declared the winner and realizes that he was baited into attacking seriously. Sylphy refuses to accept defeat and summons a powerful sword as Ard pleads for her not to use it here. Olivia stops her as the sword has harmed everyone because of its poisonous slashes. She snaps back at Olivia but is disciplined by Irina, telling her to apologize. Sylphy is reminded of her sister again because of Irina and makes a heartfelt apology. Later, Ard directs a student meeting about the festival when it is interrupted by the noise of Sylphy in an argument outside the class. She is arguing with students that believe they are superior to commoners because they are nobles and will earn more profit at the festival. Irina says that it is silly to classify people into two simple categories, and everyone decides that the performance at the festival will decide who is superior. The rules for the play about the Demon Lord are decided. Ard is voted as the Demon Lord Varvatos, Irina is nominated as Lydia, and Sylphy volunteers to be the evil god since everyone else was too afraid. She says that an added bonus is that she can fight Ard. Recommendations for what attraction they should have start with Ginny, and her idea for a maid cafe. She shows everyone her design for the outfits and everyone is shocked, thinking they go too far. However, she says that under the pretense of their attraction, they will all be able to openly seduce Ard without holding back. All the girls then agree and he accepts her idea, stating that he can't deny their request. Sylphy says that she'll dress as a maid as well, but Ginny says she won't have to for obvious reasons. Elsewhere, we see that the mysterious man is watching Ard, warning him to enjoy his fun now since it will all end once his new friend Sylphy finally learns the truth.